Y'all, apparently I'm about to pass away because I'm in the many stages of grief over here. I have been resisting, I have been bargaining, I have been procrastinating, and I'm just like, I might as well just start recording. So, like, not one Saturday goes by where I'm not just like brain damaged from work and then tired and really not feeling like dissecting like a Gnostic ancient gospel. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to do it. Like, it's like I'm so into it. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm a procrastinator. I mean, this is like what being an artist is. So you're like, oh, I'm obsessed with making art. And you're like, oh, God, the last thing I can even fathom is like making art. Ugh, you know? So I'm in that battle. And I also went out and had drinks with coworkers after work. And so that was really fun. And I'm always like that person that will just like nurse a drink for a while. But like if the right person is like, you guys, I'm going to order a round of shots, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll have one. So I had a tequila. So I've had a couple of gin and tonics and a tequila. So, and now we're going to talk about Jesus. And I did not smoke weed. So, you know, but it's okay. We're all here to connect, to expand our consciousness. We're doing it consciously. I did it on purpose and I'm owning it, so I love it. Not apologizing. I'm not sorry. Because tonight, you're probably like, who are you? What are we even doing here? If you know me, you know me. But like, we're here, it's Saturday night. We're doing our Saturday night secret teachings of Jesus. It's like our Saturday night secret sermon. And what I do is I read out of the Nag Hammadi scriptures, because I just really wanted to read the Gnostic Gospels and some other things, and I didn't know when I'd have time, so I thought I'd make it a weekly segment. And to catch you up to speed, so far this year, we studied the secret book of James, written by Jesus' brother James, which was more of a narrative, conversational, lots of fun. It's in the playlist, Secret Teachings of Jesus. Now we've moved forward. We have been studying the Gospel of Philip. And the Gospel of Philip is different. It's like these paragraphs, these portions of these cryptic, abstract, random things someone said. And it's, you know, things that Philip is saying that Jesus said. But you're just like, what does this pertain to? And that's the whole point. These are very abstract and like cryptic, so that you are forced to do sort of a mental yoga. It's like these seeds that are planted in your subconscious that you kind of like, they come back and revisit you. And so your consciousness around them grows and evolves gradually. And so even if it doesn't make sense at first, I think it will over time. And you might enjoy the playlist, Secret Teachings of Jesus, and then the rest of my channel. Oh, before we get started, let's subscribe to my channel. Yay, we want to spread the message. And like this video and comment on it and share it if you will, and do all the things, every action that you can take on videos and channels for any content creator helps so much. The algorithm is kind of like a very stern mistress, and if you are inconsistent, it's not very, very nice to you. And if people don't react to the content, then it will just bury you in obscurity. And so most people don't mean to like not like or whatever, but they're just like watching and having fun, and they get distracted and forget. So before you forget, like, that'll help so much. It gets me out there. And I mean, it literally can change my reach by tens of thousands. It's insane. It's crazy how this stuff works. So please do that for me. Okay, so the portion that we're reading today is out of the Gospel of Philip. It is entitled Naked and Not Naked. And basically, I will read this through like once or twice, probably poorly, and then we will go back and we will unpack it, and I will give you my impressions as I'm channeling them through. And I'm not a theologian or anything, but I will catch random things. But like, I did go back and read some of these introductions, and we're not too far off base, so we're doing good. Okay, so naked and not naked. Some people are afraid that they may arise from the dead naked, and so they want to arise in flesh. They do not know that it is those who wear the flesh who are naked. Those who are able to take it off are not naked. Flesh and blood will not inherit God's kingdom. Sorry, that was in parentheses, so I said it weird. But flesh and blood will not inherit God's kingdom. What is the flesh that will not inherit? Or what is the flesh that will not inherit? It is what we are wearing. And what is this flesh that will inherit? It is the flesh and blood of Jesus. For this reason, he said, one who does not eat my flesh and drink my blood does not have life within. What does this mean? His flesh is the Word, and his blood is the Holy Spirit. Whoever has received these has food, drink, and clothing. And I also disagree with others who say the flesh will not arise. Both views are wrong. You say that the flesh will not arise? Then tell me what will arise, so we may salute you. You say it is the Spirit in the flesh, and also the light in the flesh. But what is in the flesh is the Word, and what you are talking about is nothing other than flesh. It is necessary to arise in this sort of flesh, since everything exists in it. In this world, those who wear clothes are superior to the clothes. In heaven's kingdom, the clothes are superior to those who wear them. That's a big one. These have been small portions so far, so hopefully this isn't a 4-hour episode. Ironically, it'll be our shortest one. It has potential too, because I kind of see what's going on here. So this has to do, again, we were learning about this, ironically, that we talked about this in the secret book of James. The overarching theme of the secret book of James was the frustration with Jesus and his disciples as he was on his way out, and they were still just like overly obsessed with the literal, with the material, with the flesh, with the body, with the comings and goings of the 3D world. They were like completely almost oblivious, or if not like just distracted from, like they missed the point. Like the whole like important thing was the spiritual evolution, the transformation from the inside, and the inside informs the outside. The non-physical creates the physical. But the disciples were so obsessed over the literal world. They were like, Jesus, like, let's take over the government. Like they were like thinking that everything that he was talking about was like in these like mundane terms, you know, out in the 3D life. And he was like, no, it's like this, the kingdom is a state of being. Like the world that we live in might just be the same, but 2 or 3 of us can have a different experience all in the same place. It's the state of consciousness, the state of being, our mindset, the way we are, that we're living in any given moment, that kind of determines where we're living. Are we in heaven or are we in hell? You can be at the grocery store and you can be in heaven, just like looking around like, ooh, fun Christmas impulse purchase aisle. Like, ooh, I can't wait to like make dinner. Ooh, like looking forward to this. Thinking about other things in your life that make you happy, or just not thinking at all and just being serene and like chill. And the next person, behind you is freaking out and they're having a panic attack and they have all kinds of things going on and they're irritated by everything around them and the overstimulus. And they're like, bah humbug, fuck the holidays. The holidays are rubbing in my face everything that's going wrong. So you see like how you can be in the same space, but your consciousness or the state of being or like how you perceive things to be or how you found yourself to be in these circumstances, like that's becoming your reality, right? Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the text because I'm starting to get lost in thought. And I caught myself like, I don't know. It's like when I channel, I lose track, but like I know I need to say what I need to say and finish it. But like I don't always know what I've been saying, so pardon me. Okay. Some people are afraid that they may arise from the dead naked. And so they want to arise in the flesh. And so these are the people that I'm talking about, like the disciples. It's like these people, they're afraid they may arise from the dead naked. And so they want to arise in the flesh. And it's like these people they're talking about, they have the option to step out of this mortal sleeve into immortality. That's scary. That's formless. They don't have experience with that. That's unfamiliar. That's foreign. And so that makes them feel vulnerable. And vulnerability implies that you're able to be hurt or harmed or killed or, ultimately we are in survival mode. So we're afraid that if something threatens us, ultimately, like the worst case scenario is that it can kill us, and it only, it gets less severe from there. But so it's like these people feel like if they arose from the dead and they didn't have their physical body, that they'd be totally exposed and nothing would be protecting them. But it's ironic because once you're out of your physical body, you're unending, you're eternal. And so nothing can threaten you. You're impenetrable. You're not like vulnerable at all at that point. And so that's the irony, is that you're less naked when you're naked without the flesh than you are with the flesh, because when you're in the flesh, it's like you're here in the physical realm. You can touch, you can smell, you can taste, you have something to lose. So you're more exposed, you're more vulnerable in the flesh because we're so fragile. Oh my God. Like, anything could take you out at any moment. There are beautiful mushrooms in the forest that I photographed that look so delicious, that are so tempting to eat. They look so fresh and pure and perfect. And those are the most deadly ones. And so, come on, like we could be walking down the street in a city and an icicle could like go through your skull. Like we are so vulnerable at every moment in this flesh suit, right? But yet people who think that this is reality and this is the eternal, like they think that like that this is naked, that they're, that this is the end all be all. It's the irony of it. It's like, actually, we're most naked now, and out of body, we're the least vulnerable. We're the least exposed. Some people are afraid that they may arise from the dead naked, and so they want to arise in the flesh. I feel like that also ties in metaphysically to people who are in a state of spiritual awakening. They're afraid to like let their ego layers fall behind. They don't want to lose their personality. They don't want to lose who they are or the roles that they've played, the dynamics that they've had with people, They don't know who they are if they aren't a mother or a wife or, an employee of this establishment or, the president of this thing. It's like those flesh, those cloaks that we wear, that we don, they become part of us and we become very attached to them. But it also goes into, just layers of our personality, the parts of us that we don't want to let go of, like patterns that are hard to let go of. That's been a whole issue this week, has been really seeing at the root of these patterns that affect our behavior and cause us to have certain tendencies or have to repeat certain cycles. And trying to get to the root of those so we can change them. It's not easy because those are flesh suits that we've put on that make us feel protected, sheltered. They're defense mechanisms, right? But they're actually exposing us to more threat, more danger, more chaos than had we shed them to begin with, right? And just been pure and naked and authentic, right? Because when you're authentic, what's dissonant from you will be repelled, and what is truly authentic will be magnetized towards you. Some people are afraid that they may arise from the dead naked, and so they want to arise in flesh. They do not know that it is those who wear the flesh who are naked. Those who are able to take it off are not naked. And so those people who are able to shed those ego layers, they become even more impenetrable, more eternal, more unwavering, more cause consciousness, right? By being eternal, you're perpetual, you're unchanging, you're not affected, right? And so by those who are willing to take off the illusion that it's anything physical that's protecting them in the first place, the illusion of control, the illusion of what is death really, what is life, what is the physical, what is real, what is true. What is real and true is that which does not change, that which sustains forever. That is what is under the flesh suit. The flesh suit is not true at all. It changes constantly, right? So what you see before you that you believe in, that you put so much stock in, that you think is the guarantee, is a trick. It's an illusion. It's ephemeral. It's fading as we speak. And so what we think is so real, factual, true, is just an illusion. It's a lie. And what really is true is what radiates from the deepest point within us that sustains for always. And when we start believing in that, we have the worries of the flesh, I guess, have less dominion over us. We're chained by it less because we're oh, what's the worst that can happen? I'm going to die. It's I always thought, even if I've always been a believer, and so I believe that when my body dies, I actually had what I think was a death experience once, and my body shut down, but my consciousness was just still there. It was just kind of what just happened? What are we doing? Is this gonna come back on? Come back on, and everything came back on. But I was hanging there in limbo for a minute, and it was just kind of crazy. And so I feel in that moment where we just sort of take off this flesh onesie, we stand up and we look down and we're there's our body. Oh fuck! I think we're the same person, just not thick. not solid. You know? And so, yeah, when we realize that it's just still going to be there, then we're like, all right, well, somehow the bills are going to get paid. Like, we're going to figure it out. Like, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? I mean, you're just going to perpetuate. Like, even if you wish you were just going to be dead. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Like, even for someone who believes, like, nothing happens after we die, like, there's even less to fear about then, because it's like, cool, like, then suddenly one day it'll be over, and then you won't know the difference. That'll be it. Like, you know, I mean, you don't want that to happen, but, like, that's almost easier to reconcile than, like, if you got stuck in some miserable limbo somewhere, or worse, you know? I don't know, in my opinion. Sidetrack. Anyway. Okay, so. They do not know that it is those who wear the flesh who are naked. Those who just believe in the physical, they're the most vulnerable. They've got no backup. Before I understood about, like, how thoughts and feelings linked to vibration, and like how all of that worked in a spiritual sense, and like what was being pulled towards me in my negativity, and what, you know, how I could balance, you know, all of those things, I'm just like, oh, and then before I was aware of the ego and all the tricks of the ego, you're just running through a crowd with a loaded gun. Like, can you imagine, like, having no awareness and just being trapped in the misery with, like, no understanding that you have any control over your thoughts, and you just think that life is happening at you and to you all the time? Like, I used to be that person. It's horrible. It's miserable. It's a living hell. It is a living hell. I lived in hell until, like, I was delivered of that. And ironically enough, like, I've always been a Christian, but it wasn't until, like, somebody told me about this secret, because I just thought God was, like, really hard on me and punishing me all the time. I didn't understand what was going on, because the Christian culture, because of, like, hundreds of years worth of conditioning, has conditioned people to be ashamed and fearful, and, like, they're horrible and, like, grotesque and wrong. And, you know, it's like all of these, I don't know, the forbidden gospels are, like, talking about how spiritual and, like, divine, and how, like, amazing it all is in this process that we get to be a part of. And, you know, so it's just like, I don't know, I was really frustrated, and I didn't know that I could be in control of my mind and have mind over matter, and, like, trust my innermost desires. I was taught that my desires were inherently evil and horrible and dark and wicked. I just want to help people. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, how fucked up did it all get twisted? It just got twisted. You know, this is why so many people reject church. It's not that they don't believe in Jesus or, like, care for Jesus. They're, like, repulsed by the way that the whole thing got hijacked and just, like, got fucking perverted. Let's get back at it. Get back to the material. Those who wear the flesh, who are the most naked. Yeah, I mean, those who just believe that this is it, I mean, they're the most vulnerable, right? Because really, they're going to be the most confused and the most lost when the flesh suit falls off. And they're like, oh, I'm still stuck with me. I'm still in a process. I've got to start over. I'm going to be born again. Oh, like, what? You know? Oh my God. Those who are able to take it off are not naked. And so, yeah, those who are able to see past this physical husk, they're not naked. They're not exposed. They understand what's going on. They understand that they're held. They understand that there's a beautiful machinery and a system at work that is trustworthy. They understand the threats that are out there and how they become vulnerable to them, but they do not believe that this is the end-all be-all. They do not believe that this is necessarily the truth, that it starts on the inside with thought, with consciousness, and from there creation is made, right? It doesn't start in the physical. Everything came from the non-physical. It starts in the non-physical first as inspiration, as love, as the overwhelming tendency of beingness. You know, it starts from pure light. It starts from pure light that contains all in one. But it's non-physical. And then it crystallizes, not the other way around. Flesh and blood will not inherit God's kingdom. And so the people who are so caught up in the material realm, you may have known these people. They're overly literal. They're not emotionally intelligent, not necessarily. They have less imagination. They have less ability to be hopeful and, you know, whimsical and like believe in a miracle and, you know, have faith, right? Everything has to be laid out, you know, for them in concrete. They need the facts. They need to be able to see before they can believe. And so they will not inherit God's kingdom, because what God's kingdom is a state of inner tranquility and serenity and fulfillment and peace. And in a world of physicality, in a world of time and space, in a world of cause and effect, where like there's space between your desires and the fulfillment of them, and that requires patience and a process, and it's full of chaos, that is not a recipe for being in the kingdom. That is a recipe for living like on the verge of hell most of the time. And so those who can drop out of the pure material and realize that there's a whole world going on beneath the surface, discover that kingdom, because they find flow and they find harmony and they find peace and they start to see patterns and purpose and reason. And it's not all just so random. We're not all just so by ourselves. Like, they start to see the magic playing out, and they start to see that there is this whole other realm communicating through this one. And that is a magical heavenly world to be in. But really, the tranquility, the peace, the certainty, the joy, the feeling of love, the feeling of satisfaction, that's what it's all about. That is the kingdom. That, like, you can be the richest person on earth, and if you are sitting there dissatisfied, then you don't have anything. I'm not the richest person on earth, but many days I am living in absolute heaven. I'm mostly, for the most part, joyous because I feel free, you know, and I feel at peace. And thank God, you know, it's not always the case. It's a process. It comes and goes. But like, you learn with discipline and self-mastery to adopt and choose and build your muscle to choose cause consciousness so that you can choose to be in the kingdom every day. And when the threats come to the kingdom and they threaten to push you into despair, into impatience, into frustration and anger and sadness, then you're like, no, flesh shoots bullshit. I get to choose. I am the creator of my reality. Mind is everything. Thought is everything. The non-physical is everything. And when I create my world and my imagination and in my thought realm, and I align in accordance with my heart, soul, mind, and strength, so that my feelings and my assumptions and all of the things coming from within me are in integrity with the world that I want to create and live in and be a part of, that starts informing your reality. That starts to crystallize. For this reason, he said, one who does not eat my flesh and drink my blood. Oh, hold on. I skipped a portion. Flesh and blood will not inherit God's kingdom. What is the what is this flesh that will not inherit? It is what we are wearing. So what is this flesh that will not inherit the kingdom? It's this physical body. We're not like, this doesn't keep going and going and going. But like our soul, our mind, our consciousness, our spirit does. It does inherit the kingdom. And it's passed down to our soul through lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. So we keep all of this information, right? So you have memories of wisdom that you haven't earned in this life. And you have flashes of that sometimes. But you inherit that. What is this flesh that will not inherit? It is what we are wearing. And what is this flesh that will inherit? It is the flesh and blood of Jesus. So the path of Christ consciousness, right? By doing what Jesus taught and by listening to the ways that he taught us to be and the ways that he taught us to think, it wasn't like in a controlling way. Jesus was trying to teach people how to use their mind to have mind over matter, to be mystics. He was trying to teach people how to not heal, but to be well, to not need healing. If you need healing, like, here's how you do it, but you can actually just be in a state of like radiant health, and this is how you do it. I want you to do these things and more. I want you to live in a state of peace. Do not worry. Do not be troubled. It will never help you. Live in a state of knowing that everything is taken care of at every moment. Express your gratitude. Pray with gratitude that it is already a done deal. Like, he was trying to teach us these things, these ways of being, so that we could live in this way and in accordance to this beautiful machinery, so we'd know how to live and move and have our being in this universe and actually inherit our divinity within it. He's trying to show us how to be these divine humans because it's our inheritance, right? It's not because we were so bad and we needed to be corrected. He's like, look, you could be these magical beings, and I'm trying to show you how to do this, and I'm trying to set you free from misery, and I'm trying to set you free from sadness, and I'm trying to set you free from fear and worry and lack and doubt and sickness, and you can do it, and you can do it even better. You can walk on water. You can turn water into wine. You can turn blind people into seeing people in an instant. You can do it too. Just listen to me. Just try to do what I'm telling you to do. Just try to listen. Just try to think the way that I'm trying to teach you to understand. Like, just listen to these parables and let them do the work on you. Let the seeds be planted, right? And instead, people got obsessed. They got obsessed with the physical. The kingdom of heaven. Oh, the kingdom. Oh, are you taking over? Oh, are we going to be ruling? Like, oh, they got obsessed with power. They got obsessed with the Roman, church organized just to get people to be controllable because they were out of control. It was causing a rebellion, right? So they took this message and they corrupted it. People used it for their own agendas. They used it in the physical to have physical control, to have dominion over people. But it was really meant to set people free, to liberate their spirit and their heart and their mind and their soul, to liberate the spirit of mankind as a whole, as a collective, to liberate the consciousness, to awaken the consciousness of mankind. For this reason, he said, one who does not eat my flesh and drink my blood does not have life within. What does this mean? His flesh is the word, and his blood is the Holy Spirit. Whoever has received these has food, drink, and clothing. So one who does not eat my flesh and drink my blood does not have life within. So one who does not take the Eucharist, one who does not sacrifice themselves, one who does not die to the ego layers, to go through the process of shedding those layers of negativity, is not on the path of the Christ consciousness. As we go on the path of Christ consciousness, we go towards the path of the Eucharist, sacrificing the flesh, The flesh is represented in the psyche as like the ego. The parts of us that keep us held down from the super consciousness, right? And so those who do not eat my flesh and drink my blood, it's like those who aren't like taking my advice and like putting it to work. If you're not taking this truth and making it your truth and living by it, if you're like not doing the practice, like it's not going to do anything for you. This is like the whole point is for you to take it on. You have to be a disciple. You have to, it's like in any spiritual practice, if you have a spiritual practice, it doesn't do shit for you if you don't do it regularly. You need to do it every day, just like flossing. All right. Whoever has received these has food and drink and clothing. So those who are taking this advice, those who are trying to awaken their consciousness and expand and offload and forgive, like offload the bitterness, offload the negativity, forgive, like go through the whole process of shedding these ego layers, healing the heart, learning how to share for the sake of the greater good, learning how to, restrict from instant gratification for the sake of going through a process to build a vessel to earn the light, not just grabbing any quick satisfaction to scratch an itch. Going through this process, you will have satisfaction. You will have fulfillment. You will have abundance. You will be taken care of. You will be nourished. Like you're not going to die. Like when you trust the process, you understand that you are going to be sheltered. You're going to be taken care of. It's literally like before the process, you're like, I'm so vulnerable. I'm going to die. I'm naked. Like I'm like everything's at stake. And it's like, as you go through the process, it's like you're exactly the opposite. It's like you're nourished, you're held, you're fed, you're watered, you feel serene. And I also disagree with others who say that the flesh will not arise. Both views are wrong. You say that the flesh will not arise, then tell me what will arise, so we may salute you. You say it is the spirit in the flesh, and also the light in the flesh. But what is in the flesh is the word. And what you are talking about is nothing other than the flesh. Okay, so you say that the flesh will not arise. So basically, the only way to elevate sparks of light, the only way to transmute darkness into light, evil into good, dark energy into light energy, is to come into the physical realm and be a human being. Non-physical entities can't do anything in the physical realm. Like nothing can be changed except for in the physical, in the material. Otherwise, it's like it all is what it is. So the material world is like a big deal. We have a huge opportunity and responsibility when we come here to go through a process for not only ourselves and our own evolution, but for the evolution of all of it. We are here to transmute negativity. And so nothing can be done, nothing can be elevated, nothing can be corrected. No soul work, no tikkun work, no soul correction work can be done unless it's in the material world. So we're always like talking all downtrodden about our world because we have the, ability to like be a fallen human being or whatever. But at the same time, we're divine because we have like the most important work in reality to do. We are responsible for elevating the light on the other realm, in the upper realms, right? By doing it through the material transformation, transmutation. So we can't do that unless we're in the flesh. So And I also disagree with others who say that the flesh will not arise. It's like we're here to elevate. That's what we're supposed to do. Both views are wrong. You say that the flesh will not arise, then tell me what will arise, so we may salute you. You say it is the spirit in the flesh, and also the light in the flesh, but what is in the flesh is the word. So, yes, the light within the flesh is what gives us light. It's what animates us, right? Because without it, we're just a flesh suit. That is very true. So it is the spirit within the flesh that gives us the personality, and it's the light within the flesh that gives us the life force to animate our personality within the flesh suit. But what is in the flesh is the word. And so in the beginning, there was the word. Before there was the word, there was no physical event. The word, the first audible sound, was the first physical, was the first physicality. It was the first event. I was just thinking about like how like an idea isn't physical yet, but like light is physical, but also sound is physical. And I was just wondering which one of them is like less physical, but which came first? It was the word, actually, because it was like the word said, "Let there be light." So the sound was first. Sound was first. So, but what is in the flesh is the word. The word brought forth the flesh. The word commanded the flesh. The word desired the flesh. The flesh is the vessel to receive the light. So it's to say, like, the flesh is not without value here. But what is in the flesh is the word. And what you are talking about is nothing other than flesh. And then that has a footnote. The text employs the term logos for word as above, where it is said that the flesh of Jesus in the Eucharist is the word. Here in the indefinite article is used with logos, and thus a more general translation of logos be preferred. Just talking about Jesus is the word in the sacrament, but Jesus is always a representation of like the abstract God being the word, like saying like, let there be, layers and layers. Okay, you say it is the spirit in the flesh, but also the light is in the flesh, but what is in the flesh is the word, and what you are talking about is nothing other than the flesh. Tell me what will arise, so we may salute you. You say it is the spirit in the flesh, and also the light in the flesh. But what is in the flesh is the word, and what you are talking about is nothing other than flesh. So maybe they're distinguishing between the difference of just the material world itself, but then like there's the material world that is animated by the spirit. And when you're talking about that material world, then you're talking about a different kind of flesh, because the flesh in that world is moved by the spirit world behind it. And it's not just this animalistic, soulless type of flesh they're talking about. It is necessary to arise in this sort of flesh, since everything exists in it. So it is necessary to elevate in this material world because everything is expressed through this material world. Otherwise, it is not expressed, right? So it's necessary to go through this process and to be here, and it's good. In this world, those who wear clothes are superior to the clothes. In heaven's kingdom, the clothes are superior to those who wear them. And so in this world, the garments we wear are like our titles. I mean, they're like our literal clothes, our identities that we put on, our titles. And so we're superior to those because we're like, well, this is a part of me, and it's just a part of what I am as a whole. But in heaven's kingdom, the clothes are superior to those who wear them, because in heaven's kingdom, you are cloaking yourself in the light. You're cloaking yourself in virtue. You're cloaking yourself in pure essence. And so in that way, it's superior to the personality who has the ego shells and layers wrapped around those virtues that have adulterated the virtues. So making them less than the virtues themselves, if that makes sense, less pure. And I think that is the end of our portion. Oh my God, we're here. We're there. We're there. I've never been more tired. I've never been more starving. I've never been more drunk. I thought I'd never get into this. 46 minutes. Oh my God, we can never do a Secret Teachings of Jesus video that's not 45 minutes. I swear. And I swear by the moon and the stars in the sky, I'll be there. I'll be there. Do you guys remember that song? My version is pretty much more awesome, so fuck y'all. Alright, I'm signing off. Drunk. And glad to be here talking about Jesus with the world. Hello, Europe. Yeah, I'm going to eat, and I'm going to go to bed, and then I'm going to work again tomorrow night. And we'll be back for our weekly energy forecast. My God, this week went by quick. Do y'all feel like this week went by quick? I feel like it went by quick. All right, y'all. This portion has been naked and not naked. And aren't we all just naked and not naked? We're all just not naked and naked in this world, are we? All right, ciao.